Bob Barker has been the host of The Price is Right for a mere 35 years, and he made an announcement recently which made some news that this will be his final season with the show. We're thrilled to have him. Bob, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So you've talked about it a little bit, but after 50 years as a television host, your 35th season on The Price is Right, what made you decide this was the time?
Because it was my 50th year on television, my 35th year on
Those were
Price
nice
is
round
Right.
numbers. Yeah.
Well, they were nice. They are. I thought it was the appropriate time for me to wrap it up. And this is a very demanding show and a very demanding schedule. And at almost 83, it was getting more and more for me physically.
I'm curious, though, the show will continue. The show will go on after you have left it. I mean, is there any concerns that you have about the show in terms of how it could keep its vitality with a new host?
The host, that doesn't concern me a great deal.
Really?
There is certainly a person or people who could do this show, but you have to find the right man or woman to do the show. And I think they will. I hope they will. But the thing that concerns me, I understand that there are people at Fremantle Media, they own the show,
Right,
who would like to make some changes in Price is Right.
Really?
And if they start tweaking this, they could ruin it. This is a delicate property. What we have here on this stage right now is what was here in 1972. And we have a loyal audience, and they don't want anything changed.
there is this new breed of sort of primetime game shows, and they specialize in being snazzier and dramatic music and weird lighting and all of that. And this obviously is a more conventional show.
Bingo. You got it. That's exactly right. We don't want to look like those shows. We want to look like what we have looked like since 1972. The only thing that has changed on this show is the color of my hair.
Were there any changes that were proposed that you specifically objected to?
Well, they wanted to change the theme song. I objected to that, but I was joined by practically the entire staff. They wanted to use these screens, you know, that they have now to show off prizes instead of showing them behind doors. We objected to that. And so far, they've been very good about letting us do the show we want it, the way we think it should be done.
Well, Bob, what is it about this show that has contributed to this incredible 35-year run? I mean, what are the elements here that you think have made it so successful?
My business manager says it's the host.
Wise man, wise man.
But in all honesty, I think it is a combination of things. First of all, the premise of the show. Everything we do is based on prices, and everyone identifies with prices. So we get viewer involvement. When we start bidding, they think the bid's too high or the bid's too low or it's a good bid. But whatever they're thinking, they're involved. And that's what every game show wants, is viewer involvement, and we get it to the nth degree. Beyond that, we have 80 games, and we rotate them. If you watch the show Monday, you see another show Tuesday, another one Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right through the week. I think that's important. And the show is a fast-moving show. If you're watching and you don't particularly like this game, wait 3 minutes, 4 minutes, we're doing something completely different. And I think one of the most important ingredients is the fact that we take our contestants from right out of that studio audience. That's also something that is passé. They used to do that years ago. When I started, everybody did it.
Come on down.
Come on down. They weren't called, when I first started on Truth or Consequences, they weren't even called game shows. They were called audience participation shows. And the great hosts like Ralph Edwards and Art Linkletter and Jack Bailey, they went right out in an audience and they found their contestants and they brought them up on stage and they created spontaneous entertainment. And that's what I have done all through my 50 years on television.
Talk a little bit about the audiences. You know, there's always, I don't know if watching it on television necessarily you capture You see a lot of it, but the enthusiasm, sometimes dangerous enthusiasm when they come barreling down the aisle that these people bring to being on the show. What's that experience been like?
Well, I have had people who have been in television for many, many years visit this show and say they have never seen anything like it. They have never seen the energy that we have in this show. And I think it has grown over the years tremendously. People became acquainted with the show, and 4 generations sometimes show up. And they know what to expect, and they come in here looking for a party. They expect a party, and that's what we have. And recently, we have we've become a cult thing with college-age kids. It started, I would guess, about 10 to 12 years ago.
There's no drinking game, is there?
No.
Okay, all right, good.
Not even a sip of beer. These young people not only give the show energy, they themselves are splendid contestants, and they give us a young feeling here.
Have you ever tried to play this game?
The Price is Right?
Yeah.
Occasionally, I will be doing an interview, and the writer will walk in with a brown paper bag and say, "Bob, we're going to play this game." And I make a complete fool of myself.
Because I always remember Dick Clark, when he was producing The Pyramid, was the best pyramid player anybody ever saw, just from being around it all the time. So
Well,
I
then-
wonder if you can look at a toaster and say that's, and guess the price of a package pretty well by this point.
If what you say about Dick is accurate, he and I are complete opposites. I don't know anything about prices. I've never paid any attention. I can't win, so why fool with them?
So I'm curious. I mean, this show has been such a big part of your life all these years. What does retirement hold for you? What are you looking forward to doing?
Well, since I've announced my retirement, I've done interviews, and invariably they ask me, "What are you going to do after you retire?" Well, I thought when you retired, you didn't have to do anything, you know?
Just hang around
and
the
if
house.
I'm going to have to do something, I might as well go back to work again. No, I don't really have a lot of plans beyond what I'm already doing. I devote a lot of my time. I have a foundation, the DJ&T Foundation. It's named in memory of my wife, Dorothy Jo, and my mother, whose name was Matilda, but everyone called her Tilly. And we subsidize low-cost spay neuters or free spay neuters all over for animals, and I devote a lot of time to that.
So you talked about the set and all the history around this set. Is there anything up from it you get to keep? Is there any sort of memento from it you'll get to take home, or you would like to take home? I want the wheel, personally. But.
Well, that would be a little heavy to get out of here. But it occurs to me, we have a game called the check game. I'd like to get one of those checks made out for a huge amount of money and signed by the right man, and take that with me.
Not a bad idea.
It would take care of my retirement.
Oh, I suspect you'll be okay.
Of all the contestants you've had over the years, is there any one particular one that was a favorite for you?
Well, not necessarily a favorite, but certainly the most memorable moment on the show was the lady seated out here in the audience in a tube top. And
I think I know where this is going.
hey, you probably do. It happened more than 20 years ago. It's hard to believe it was that long ago. But no one has ever forgotten it. And when I'm asked this same question by someone in the audience, and I start my answer, I say that there was a lady out here in a tube top. Immediately, yeah, I heard about that. And the story is that her name was called to be on the show. She jumped to her feet. She began jumping up and down, and both of them came out of the tube top.
Okay.
And no one has ever forgotten it. And I was still behind these doors here. I didn't
so you
see
saw
it.
nothing.
I didn't see
Oh.
it.
Was this on camera?
Oh, no, yes, it was on camera,
Oh.
yes.
And this was before DVD extras,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
She was the 4th contestant called to contestants' row. So I was still behind the doors. And when I came out here, they were screaming. And I thought, well, they love me. They love me. And then I realized that no audience had ever liked me this much. And I turned to Johnny Olson, who was with us then.
Yeah.
And I said, "Johnny, what has happened out here?" He said, "Bob, this young lady has given her all for you."
And that only happened once. That's kind of a surprise.
That only happened once. I think that it would help our rating if it could happen every
Yeah.
so often, you know.
They've been trying to get us to do nudity on this show, and I just say not unless it's important to the part. So, all right, well, thank you again. We really appreciate it, and pleasure having you on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.